G'day everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Andrew's Art Duchy in 2022. Today I'm going to be kicking off the new year by having some fun with these beautiful Mandarin oranges.
Now traditionally, Mandarin oranges are culturally significant on the occasion of the Chinese New Year. Smaller and squatter than a standard orange, they come in many shapes and varieties. Sometimes gifted as a symbolic gesture of good fortune upon the recipient, or to usher prosperity to one's own home or business.
These ones were actually gifted to me by a really lovely family in the building, and I want to show thanks by baking up a batch of Mandarin Orange cookies. So without further ado, let's go over the ingredients required in today's recipe.
So we actually only need 1 orange, 1 large egg, 8 tablespoons of butter and a little salt, 1 1/4 cup flour, 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar, red and green food coloring, and some extracts. I've got vanilla and orange. These are actually optional, but I do think they give it a good flavor. To begin, I'll add 6 tablespoons of butter to my bowl, setting 2 aside for later. Now if I have salted butter, it's totally fine. I only had unsalted, so I'm going to add a couple pinches here. I've now got to cream the butter. Although mine was a little on the cold side, so I popped it in the microwave for 10 seconds before continuing. It's now much easier to work with, and I'm going to cream it for about 2 minutes until it's a lot smoother and lighter in color. Next I'll go ahead and add the powdered sugar and give that a mix. Takes about a couple minutes. The star of this recipe is of course the orange, so I'll zest 1 whole orange into my bowl. And after that I want to squeeze out about 20 milliliters of orange juice. It's now time to add all the wet ingredients to this mixture, starting with 1 egg yolk. Gonna follow that up with the orange juice and just a tiny dash of the vanilla and the orange extract. Once more, I'll take the whisk and give it a good mixing. Now that everything's incorporated, it's time to turn this into a cookie dough, so I'll add in my flour, giving everything a final mix before moving to a board and finishing by hand. If the consistency is a bit too sticky or wet, feel free to add a bit more flour, which I had to do here. And once it's become nice and easily workable, I'll take a small portion and set that aside, and now it's time to move into the food coloring. I'm going to put this smaller portion of dough in a piping bag, so to make it more pipeable, I want to add the leftover butter and mix that nicely together with the green food coloring. I know this looks like a lot of food coloring and a really saturated hue, but I promise it's going to diminish a bit during the baking process. Now I want to take the main portion of dough and apply the orange food coloring, getting that nice and saturated as well. Now that everything's all set, it's time for the assembly. I'll take a small amount of dough, about the size of a golf ball, roll out a sphere and get as many cookies on the tray as I can. To give these cookies the appearance of a stem, just use a little bit of pretzel. Here I've broken it into little pieces, placing them into the tops of the cookies. Lastly, I'm going to take the piping bag, give each cookie its own set of leaves. They don't gotta be perfect or anything, I promise they're gonna be adorable no matter what. It's time to get these cookies in the oven. Mine is preheated to 350 degrees, and they'll be in there for about 20 to 25 minutes. I sure wish I could transport this baked citrusy aroma to you. Unfortunately, that's not possible, but take my word for it, it's amazing. If you'd like to try this recipe, perhaps use a little less butter. As you can see, these deflated just a bit. I'm still super pleased with the end result.
Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Andrew's Art Duchy. I have to say these are the cutest cookies I've ever seen, and I can't wait to eat them and share them with my friends and my neighbors upstairs. If you like this video, please remember to like or subscribe. or check out my Patreon, and there's a link in the description below. Until next time, I hope you guys have a great night and a fantastic start to your new year. Bye-bye.